history chapter, the age of industrialization. So students, in the age of industrialization, we have studied that how different people from the European countries and from the London, they migrated to different to the countryside. That means the merchants, traders, they migrated and they moved towards the countrysides to get the production made. Students, we know that the trade guilds and the craftsperson, their association, the associations of the producers were very strong during that time, and they didn't give the entry to the newcomers. So they migrated and they moved towards the countrysides to get the production made and to get the raw material. So all the artisans, they contacted with all the artisans and the farmers, peasants, that they can grow for them, and then that can be produced and that can be sold by the merchants. Students, we have seen that there were so many new inventions, technological inventions have taken place, and we have seen that how steam engine has mechanized the production of the more of the goods for the international market. So students, now we have already seen that how European trade was flourishing in different parts of the areas. We have already seen what was the condition of the workers, what was the life of the workers, how the people were living their life, what were the wages given to them, and we have seen that extremely very low wages were given to them. Extraordinarily, we have seen that the population was very high and there was an abundant labor available in the London and the European countries, and the employment opportunities compared to the population was very low. And we have seen that how the people living in that area, especially the elite sections of the people and the richer section of the people, they used to prefer the homemade goods, handmade goods, and that is why the much of the technological pace was not there in the European countries. So students, now we are going to study about that what was the condition of people in India. And see students, we have already seen that how the industrialization has taken place in the European countries and how the trade has flourished and the development has taken place. We have already seen how the economic development of country has affected the lives of the people, how technology has affected the lives of the people. Job opportunities have reduced because earlier almost every work was done manually, but after coming of the new machines and after coming of the new technology and steam engine, most of the work was done by the machines, and so the employment opportunities for the people reduced. Now we are going to see that what was the condition in India and how the industrialization has taken place in India and how it has spread and it has affected the lives of the people. So students, you know that when we talk about India, we know that the Indian cotton, you know that we have India's textile, India's cotton was worldwide famous, and we know that the variety of the clothes, the best quality of cloth and the refined cotton was produced in India. And this cotton that was produced in India was with the different patterns and designs. Students in class 8, you have already studied about the patola, jamdani, bandhana, floral patterns, geometrical patterns. All these kind of clothes were made in India and they all were exported in different parts of the countries. And later on we have seen that, and during that time we have seen that the other countries, they were not producing, they were producing cotton, but they were not producing as refined cotton and the best quality of the cotton clothes that was produced by the textiles that was produced by India. They used to produce, the other countries, they used to produce cotton, but that was the coarse cotton. Coarse cotton, that means rough. It was not very smooth, the quality was not there. So that means India's refined cotton was very famous during those days' time. So students, we have seen that we had the varieties of the cotton and the different textiles were available in India. And when we know that it was being sent to, exported to different parts of the areas. We know that we have a Persian countries, Armenian countries, Southeast Asian countries, Western countries and the European countries. The things as well as the refined cotton was sent to different countries. We know that via from Punjab to Afghanistan and Eastern Persia and to the Central Asia, the production was sent through different ways. And we know that if we go towards the Gujarat side, we have a plenty of the desert available. So towards the from the desert side, through on the camels, it was exported to different countries. The huge bales of the clothes and the piles of the clothes of different qualities were sent via through different places, via through the mountain passes and via through the deserts. Armenian countries, Persian countries, Southeast Asian countries, almost Mediterranean countries, European countries, everywhere we have seen that the refined cotton of India was exported and was sent. Students, we have seen that during those days' time, there was in different port areas were also very famous. When we talk about the port areas, students, you can see that the Surat port towards the in the western coastline, Surat was very famous and was very important in sending the goods to the different parts of the area towards the European countries. And we have seen that Surat port has really earned too much of the prosperity due to the export made through the port from the Surat. And we have seen that from the coast of the Surat or from the Surat port, we have seen that India used to send their production to the Gulf countries and to the Red Sea areas, Red Sea port areas. And if we talk about the other side of the country, other side of the eastern coast, we have seen that in the Coromandel region. In the Coromandel region, we have the another important port was there, that was Masulipattnam. Masulipattnam was very famous during that time. So this is the second important port in the western side. If you see, we have a Surat port is available, and that has connected and has exported from that part of area. We have sent the production of good textiles and varieties of textile to the Gulf countries and to the other important countries towards the Red Sea. Students, we have seen that after coming to the Masulipattnam in the Coromandel coast, in the lower part of the coastal areas, we have seen that Masulipattnam was the another important port from where the different goods, spices, and you know Kerala. Kerala is known for spices. Kerala, the spices from the Kerala, goods, jewelries, and the textile was sent through the Masulipattnam, okay, and towards the eastern countries, towards those areas. There was another important place which was really very famous, Hooghly region, Hooghly river, and West Bengal, you know it. Bengal region, Bengal province was also very important during those days time, from where the export was made, and different ships used to sail from that part of area with the lot of goods that is manufactured and that is grown and cultivated in India. So we have seen that three important ports has really played a very important flourishing role in developing the country's economy, India's economy. Students, we have seen that these important ports, Surat at the western coast, Coromandel coast, may we have the Masolipatnam, and if you go up in the on the coastal region of the eastern coastal plains, then you can see that Hooghly region in Bengal was also very famous for producing the jute as well as exporting the different goods. So you can see that, students, we have the Gujarat coast connected to the India with the Gulf and the Red Sea ports. Masolipatnam is very famous at the Coromandel coast, and Hooghly in the Bengal region, which used to connect the country's Southeast Asian ports. Through these places and the different goods, as well as the different fine quality of the bales of the cotton textiles, piles of the cotton textile, huge bundles of the bales, the huge bundles of the cloth textiles, they were sent to different parts of the areas. And we have seen that through the mountain ranges, through the passes between the different mountain ranges, different passes were there. From there, the camels and on the horses or on the mules, the goods were exported, because almost the land transport was not there during those days time, and much of the transportation and the network was not created. So we have the via through the water and via through the deserts, you can see that, and the passes from the mountains, it was sent through the passes. And we have seen, students, that the quality of the cotton cannot be compared. Indian quality cloth and the textile of India cannot be compared and cannot be made, cannot be manufactured. The same quality refined cotton cannot be manufactured in other countries. That is why India was very famous for textile. And you know that during those days time, India was known to be a golden bird, and the wealth of India was highly flourishing, because majority of the countries, they wanted to do the trade with India. And students, you must have already remember that Vasco da Gama, he has searched a route to India because they wanted to come and wanted to have a trade with the countries like India. So that means India was known to be famous during those days time for the best quality of textiles produced in the country. See, students, during those days time, we have seen that we have variety of Indian merchants were there, where there were so many merchants were there and many bankers were there. Bankers mean the one who provides the money, financial support to the people. So different financial houses, they all involved in the network of the exporting of the trade. That means Indian merchants were involved, and the different financial supporters, they are known as bankers, who provides the money, huge money to the people for doing and running a business. They are bankers. That means financing the production and carrying the goods and supplying the export to the different countries. So students, we have seen that till 1750s, the entire production and almost all the regulation of the cost and the prices and manufacturing and selling the goods and sending the goods, trading with the different countries, everything was regulated by the Indian merchants and the bankers. And during this time, the condition of India, economic condition of India, and the worth with these traders and merchants was very high, and they were highly respected, and they have really accumulated the huge sum of money from these trades. And we know that what these people they used to do is they used to supply the different goods and commodities, and through they have their own ships are there, and the big cargoes are there. They load the entire goods of different things that is demanded in the other countries, and then they sail for few months. They reach to that country and they sell that product, and they buy the different goods from there, which is really required in India. And this is how the export and import was done by the merchants in the country. And we have seen that by 1750s the production was managed by the almost the entire traders. And students, you already know that during this time, when we are talking about 1750s, the production as well as the manufacturing of the goods, that was in the hands of the people. And during this time only, you can see that during 1750s, East India Company was ruling over India. East India Company. So students, now you can see that we have the Indian textile. So if you are going to see this, when we are going to see this, we have the before the ages of the machines, when machines were not there, industries were not there, big factories were not there, much technological development was not taken place. During that time, the silk and cotton goods was sent for the international market, and India was dominating the international market in terms of silk and cotton. Silk and cotton of India was highly famous in the international market. So most of the dominance was of India. Indian textile was famous throughout the different countries. Whereas in the other countries, coarse cotton, that means rough cotton, coarse cottons were produced in many other countries. But the finer varieties of the cotton usually come from India only. Okay, coarse cotton was produced by the people of those countries, but the refined cotton was being purchased by the people of those countries from India. Armenian countries and the Persian countries, these merchants, they used to come to the country, they used to come to India, and they used to purchase the different goods and textiles, and then they sell all these things to their country, and they go via through the Surat. Surat is an important port that we have in Gujarat coast, and it is very nicely, it is connecting the India is connected from Surat to the Gulf countries and the Red Sea countries, Red Sea port areas. Those another important port that we have is Masulipatnam on the Coromandel coast, and we have the Hooghly is connected in the Bengal for all the important trade links. So students, we have seen that till 1750s the entire production was made by the 1750s. The production was regulated and managed by the Indian traders and merchants. You can see that during those days time, the monopoly of the trade was in the hands of the Indian people. See students, during those days time, the East India Company was also there. East India Company was also ruling. And we have seen that in the 16th century, when Jahangir was ruling, when Britishers came to India, and they have started colonizing the different places, they have started conquering the different provinces of India by defeating the different rulers and kings. So at that time, we have seen that the Britishers, East India Company came. In class 8th, you have studied about this, from trade to territory. from trade to territory. That means in 16th century when Britishers came in India, they came for a trade, and they wanted to do the trade with India. And later on they have started conquering the different places, and they brought, and they have taken the special concessions from the kings also. They have taken the special permissions from the of different rulers of those areas, of those provinces, in different parts of the areas. Concession they have taken, that they need to pay lesser of taxes. They have taken a special permission to build the fort, and they started living in that area. Fortification was made, and they have started protecting themselves, and they started arms and ammunition, and their production was started. And because their main aim and objective was not to do the trade, their main objective to acquire the territories and to colonize India. So we have seen that the European countries came during that time, and they have asked, and they have granted, kings have granted the special permissions and concessions of trade. That means the monopoly of trade was given to the East India Company. See students, during those days time we have the Dutch also, Portuguese also, French people were also there, and the other local people were also there who were dealing with the textile and who were doing the business of the textiles, and they used to sell to the other country, they used to export it to the other country. So there was a great clashes between the different countries. But after defeating in Carnatic and in the Bengal region, the East India Company has acquired the special concessions from the different kings, and even the local traders were also there. So students, we have seen that the European sections of the people, or the European companies, they have acquired the varieties of concession from the local courts, and they have got the right to, they have a monopoly to do the trade. This getting the monopoly in trade has resulted in the decline of the old ports. We have how many old ports were there? Surat was there, Masolipatnam was there, and we know that Hooghly was also another port. So from that area we have seen that the European countries, they have started doing the business and trade in India. They have started showing their powers. Gradually they started gaining the power. How they have gained that power? They secured the concession from the local courts, and what they have done, they got the monopoly right to do the trade. And then they have started doing the export and import from India. They have their own ships, they have their own European ships, and what they have done, they were not doing this export from those old ports from where they were doing it. That means they wanted that almost the entire production that is manufactured, that should come to them. Nobody should purchase almost the entire production, whatever is produced in the country, that they should purchase it. And they wanted to acquire the best profit, and they wanted to earn the more income. Financially they wanted to become strong. So they used to collect, and they used to buy and purchase the production from almost all the people of the country, and they used to sell it into through their ships, and they used to sell it to their country, to the England and to the other European areas. So that means they have started doing the business in the textiles. So students, we have seen that there were many other people were also there, but they were all being defeated by the East India Company, by the forces of the East India Company, and they have started doing the trade. So slowly and gradually, when the entire production is purchased by the East India Company, what the local traders and merchants will do, now they are not able to get the textiles production, and they are not able to do the export also. So they used to do it, they used to buy from the local manufacturers, and then they used to send it to the port areas, that is Surat or Masolipatnam or a Hooghly region. From there they used to export it, they used to load it, and they used to sell it to the other country. Sailing was done, and then they, after few months, when they reach there, they sell it. But now the entire production is purchased by the East India Company, and that too very low prices, and then they started selling it. So now the condition of the local traders and merchants has become very miserable. They had very less goods for selling to the other countries, and slowly and gradually, when the trade of the local merchants, they have declined, their profit has also reduced, and they were not able to earn the profit, and slowly and gradually they became bankrupt. Now they don't have money, okay. And not only that, you can see that this resulted in a decline of the old ports of Surat and Hooghly, through which local merchants they used to operate it. Now what they used to do is, now you can see that export from these ports fell dramatically. The credit that had financed the earlier trade began drying up. Whatever money that they had earlier, they have accumulated, they have collected by doing the trade. By still 1740s, we have seen that slowly and gradually their money, their financial condition was reducing. Whatever money that they had, what reserves that they have, that was also started declining, because they were not earning extra income or a regular income that they were earning earlier. So they became, slowly they went to the bankrupt, and due to this you can see that students, the Surat and the decline that we used to have during those days time, the gross value of the export that the Indian traders, people they used to do, that was almost around worth rupees value 16 millions of rupees. 16 million of rupees they used to export earlier. But now slowly and gradually, when they were not able to get the textiles, or they were not able to get the ready-made clothes, because that was purchased by the East India Company. East India Company was in rule, and so everybody was scared, and they were ready to sell to the East India Company. So the 16 million rupees worth was made earlier. Now slowly and gradually this export has reduced to only 3 million of rupees. So you can see that the economic condition, definitely there are many traders were there who have invested their money, but they became bankrupt. No profit was earned, and slowly and gradually almost all the people, all the traders and merchants, their business declined, deteriorated, and the entire business was regulated by the East India Company now. So students, this is the time when the Surat, Masolipatnam and Hooghly declined. Why it was declined? You can see that because there were new ports were used by the East India Company. They don't want that the same port should be used. They have created their own new ports. You can see that they had a possibility to use. Bombay and Calcutta grew up during those days time. When Bombay and Kolkata was used, new ports were made, and this had a flourishing business. Now Calcutta and Bombay became very famous, from where the East India Company used to do the trading were exporting to the other countries. That means in one side you can see that we have the Bombay, and the other side in the eastern coast you can see that we have a Calcutta. So these two important ports became very famous used by the East India Company, and they were not using the ships of Indian people or the Indian merchants, and they had their own European ships. So that means now the people who own the ships in India, they were also not earning a business, they were not earning a profit. Earlier, many of the traders and merchants, they used to hire the ships of those people, and they used to take it on a rent, and they used to sail it to the different countries, and this is how they used to earn money. But now Europeans, they have their own ships, and through which, and they have made their own, they have started the exporting to different areas, trading with the different countries, meeting and connecting different countries through the another ports, not the old port. They would have done from the old port also, but the majority of the local traders were doing the business there. So they have decided that they are going to create the new ports, and new ports were created, Bombay and Calcutta. So that means when they have created these ports, these two ports became the symbol of their victory. That yes, how they have defeated by living there in the other countries, in living in India, they have defeated economically, they have defeated, financially they have defeated, in their own trade to the local people and the local traders. So we have seen that trade through the new ports came to be controlled by the European countries, and now the European countries and the European ships, they used to sail to these areas. So students, you can see here, that is basically highlighted. Okay, we have two important ports, Goa, earlier Surat, we had a Masolipatnam here, now we have a Bombay here. You can see the Bombay and the Hooghly region. Calcutta was there, Calcutta was developed. You can see the region from where, and the countries from where. Countries, you can see that which all countries are connected from the Bombay region. Okay, they used to connect to the different countries, and from here, Calcutta, they used to connect it to the other side of the countries. So that means the shift of old to the new ports was the symbol of colonial power, was the symbol of the victory of the colonial government. They have shown their power, that how they can regulate the control, they can make the control, and they can easily control the traders as well as the port areas and the business and the kings of those during those days time. So that means there was an economic development was started declining. How now we'll see what would be the conditions of the other sections of the people. This is how we have seen that now trade was controlled by the Europeans, and we have seen that the old trading houses, they all collapsed and they were shut down. Now trade was not made with those port areas. The another important question too is, you can see that they became bankrupt, Bombay and Calcutta grew up, and old ports came. Now we have the another important problem that has arisen by the declining of the traders, merchants. Now we are going to see, and the new ports were also created. These are the people who used to the trade and business. But there were some other people also were there who used to manufacture the textile. Now we wanted to see what would be their condition during the East India Company. During the East India Company, students, we have already seen that almost the entire production as well as the supplies of the textile was controlled and regulated by the East India Company. And by 1760s, by 1750s we have already seen the Indian traders and merchants were regulating all the things. But within a span of time, everything was controlled by, slowly and gradually they have acquired everything, and they have, by 1760s we have seen that the East India Company has started and it came into power. East India Company came into power, and we have seen that the British cotton industries during that time was not developed. During those days time, the textiles of the Britain was not much developed. So they used to sell the textiles, fine refined quality of the textiles from India. Students, you can see that how the different, you can see the map, okay, and you can see that fine textiles of India were in great demand in the Europe. And we have seen that during those days time, everybody was because it was already exported. Earlier also it was exported. Earlier Indian traders were exporting it. Now the East India Company is taking to their country, and from there they are selling it out to the different countries, and they are earning a great profit. So that means the refined quality of the cotton was really liked by the people. Everybody wanted to use the refined cotton and the refined textile that was made and manufactured in India and by the Indian weavers and the Indian spinners. But the industries that we had in Britain, they were not able to make, or they were not able to manufacture and weave the same quality of refined cotton as like Indians. So they used to grow the coarse cotton they used to grow, used to make. So that was the another problem for the Britishers, that the people in their own country, they used to prefer Indian made textile, Indian made clothes. So company was very much keen in expanding the textile export from India. So they have decided that why we need to spend too much of the time in making and manufacturing and training the British weavers. Why can't we export the textiles from India in India only? Because India we have already colonized. We have taken over India, and during that time we have seen that students, there was an establishment, power was established. You can see that Bengal was occupied, captured by the East India Company. Carnatic region was also occupied by the East India Company. So almost most of the weavers from these areas, they were regulated and controlled by the East Indian Company people now. Now East India Company people have decided that the entire business of the textiles and of the other goods, they are going to regulate it, they are going to control it. The prices they used to decide, and they used to buy the cloth, ready-made clothes from the weavers at a very low prices, and people were very scared of him, scared of the East India Company, and all the officials who used to come, they were very scared of them, and they have decided they used to sell whatever prices at a minimal prices were fixed by the British officials. So the East India Company was really earning a huge profit out of the textile business. East India Company now find it very difficult that there were other traders were also there, because other competitors were also there, other country people were also there. I have already told you, Dutch people, the Dutch government has already sent, they also wanted to get the refined cotton from in India. French people were also there. Portuguese people, Portugal, from in Portugal country, they also wanted. So everybody wanted the Indian textile, and they want that they are going to buy from in India at a lower price, and they are going to sell it in their own country at a higher prices. So they wanted to earn the profit. So, but the East India Company was not ready to share the production of textiles with the Dutch and Portuguese. So they had a series of Carnatic War has taken place, and Indo-French wars have also taken place. So they have eliminated all these local traders. As well as the other countries' people also. They were defeated and they went back. Now only East India Company remained, and few local traders were also there. And the company was trying and doing his best to eliminate all the local traders from this business. Why? Because they want that whatever is produced in the country, as much as production in the country, that should be regulated and would be purchased by the East India Company. They wanted to buy the entire production. So we have seen that East India Company became the best buyer, because they have the East India Company has defeated the Dutch, French and the Portuguese. Now in there were many people were there who have were very much worried about, because there was a shortage of the textiles. Why? Because the entire production was taken by the Britishers, by the East India Company. So local traders and merchants who used to depend on buying and selling of the textile, and they used to earn their livelihood through that business. Now that business is not there with them. That has already been snatched by the East India Company people. So the condition of the local traders have also become very poor. When we have seen that now the East India Company became the political power. Now it is the almost all the regions of the country of India, they were acquired by the East India Company. Now the rule of the East India Company is going on. All the rules and regulation, and they have their own army, they have their own military, and it was regulated. And we have already seen, we have studied in class 8 that the kings and the rulers, they became puppet in the hands of the East India Company. Whatever rules and regulation was launched by and established by the East India Company, the kings, because they have been defeated by the East India Company, so they became puppet in the hands of the company. And the company, whatever rules and regulations were like, subsidiary alliance, if you remember, and the military is also provided by the East India Company also. So that means everything was regulated by the East India Company. So when the rulers are became puppet in the hands of the East India Company, you can think about the small traders, what they are going to do. They became helpless. They cannot do anything. So we have seen that East India Company had taken the direct control over the weavers. Weavers, the one who used to weave the cloth, who used to manufacture the cloth. So now they can directly deal. East India Company was directly dealing with the weavers, and they used to straight away they can purchase and do the bargaining, and at a very low prices they can they can purchase the textiles and the cloth from the Indian weavers. And the company has tried to eliminate Okay, to eliminate means remove all the local traders and merchants. They don't wanted to deal. First trader is going, merchant is going to buy, then they are going to sell it to the East India Company. No, they have made a direct link with the weavers, and with that they have made a company, they have made a deal, and they have made a link with those people that after straight away they are going to manufacture, weavers are going to manufacture it and they will sell it, and the company, East India Company, they are going to take it from them. See, during that time, East India Company, they were busy with other administrative work also, and the other alliances, land revenue, collection of the land revenue, and the other problems also. So now the company has decided, East India Company has decided that we need somebody who can really collect the supply and can provide it to us, but not the Indians. Okay, so what they have done, they have appointed paid servants. They have appointed paid servants who are going to work for them, and these paid servants were known as gomesthas. These paid servants were known as gomesthas. See students, what these gomesthas are going to do it, they are appointed by the Britishers. So they would be loyal to the East India Company. Number two, they are from the other, they are not Indians. Okay, they are outside, so they are outsiders. Okay, number three, they are going to meet with the people, with the weavers. British officials, they are at a very high post, they are not going to meet the weavers, these small people. Okay, so what they have made, appointed the gomesthas. Now these gomesthas are going to provide the advances to those people, money to those people to buy the things in raw material, and then manufacture it and then give it to the company. So for that, what they have done, Gomestha used to provide money to the weavers. Fine, they used to settle the prices. He used to check the quality. Gomesthas used to check the qualities. So Gomesthas used to take care of used to keep a check, and used to keep an eye on all the weavers. And not only that, they used to collect the supply also, and then they used to hand it over to the East India Company, and East India Company through the ships they used to sell it to the Britain, and they were purchasing at a very extremely low prices, at a meager prices. They were purchasing it cheaper prices, and then they are sending it to their own country. Okay, so that means a huge profit they used to earn from the country. So students, we have seen that gomesthas are the paid servant. They used to supervise the weavers. They used to collect the supplies, examine the quality of the cloth, send it to the Britishers, give it to the Britishers, and till the port areas, and then they export to the other countries. Now, not only that, there was another important feature was also there. Gomesthas have to keep a check on the weavers. Why there is a need to keep a check on the weavers? Because when money is provided to you in a form of advance, see, you are Gomestha and you have given me the money. From that money, I am going to buy all the raw material. I am going to buy the thread or something. I am going to weave the cloth, and I should not deal with the other person, or I should not sell the cloth made by me to the other trader or merchant at a higher prices. Then it would be loss for the East India Company. So they keep a check that I should not contact with some other person. I should not I should not deal with some other person. I not make any link with the other person. Whatever I am producing it, that has to be handed over to the Gomesthas. So Gomesthas, they wanted to keep a check on the people, on all the weavers. So students, at this time, the condition of the weavers also became very was became very miserable. And not only that, students, you can see that when the Gomestas, they wanted to buy, see, initially when we have seen that Gomestas, when they have given the money to the advances to the weavers, at that time initially it was, they really felt that it's good, because at that time their money was, their income was shrinking day by day, income was not there. So at this time they thought it okay, that the people have come to it is automatically somebody has come to they are ready, we are getting the income without doing anything, without searching any job, and by sitting at home we are getting the opportunity to make the same work that we need to do it. This is our hereditary work that we need to do it. So they have easily accepted the money that is provided by the Gomestas, and they used to do the negotiation with the prices. Negotiation of the prices, that means how at what price we are going to. And at initially when it was not made, at that time only it was been like MSP prices, you students, you have studied same manner. Initially when the production is not ready, at that time only the prices are fixed. Okay, at this price you have to sell it to me. This is how the weavers were controlled and regulated by the Gomestas. So during that time, students, the condition of the people, especially the weavers, that was not very good. And we have seen that as loan flowed, the demands before the textiles and the refined cotton was ready for the East India Company. All these conditions which passes from the weavers really became miserable. They have readily accepted the advances, and due to that they are bound to supply, they are bound to sell the product to the Gomestas. So when we talk about the Gomestas, we have seen that in many places, the weavers, they used to have the clashes. They used to have the clashes with the Gomestas. Those who took loan had to hand over the cloth produced to the Gomestas. So now we have seen that the condition of the weavers became very miserable, was not very good. See, students, there was another problem was there with the weavers, and their conditions were not very good. Earlier, initially they have accepted the loan, but now they don't wanted to take it, because the freedom that they had earlier to sell their product to anybody at a higher prices, anybody who is going to give them a higher price, they can sell their product. But now when they have already accepted the loan, they are bound to sell the production to the Gomestas only. So due to that also, now the weavers, they wanted that they are not going to deal with that. So very often they used to have a clashes with them. Why they used to have a clashes, students? See, one by one we'll say it. Gomestas, they were the outsiders, okay, and they had no relation with the villagers. Earlier, what we used to have, if I am a weaver, and if I wanted to, if I am in a trouble and I need money, I used to go to the landlord or to any businessman or a trader or a merchant, and I used to take the money from them. And they knew it, they know me, because we people live in the same village. They understand my problem, they used to understand the problems of the weavers, so they used to lend the money. And sometimes it happens that I am unable to repay that money, then also they can understand, because the production is not there, that is why we are not able to. So they are ready to give me the another second credit also. But this condition, these kind of conditions were not there with the Gomestas. Gomestas had no link with the villagers. They were not knowing to anybody, and they have any emotional bonding is not there with those villagers. what they are going to do is they are working for the East India Company. So they would, Gomestas would be loyal to the East India Company, and they wanted that because they are appointed by them, and whatever work is given to them, work is assigned to them, that to be completed without fail. So weavers, sometimes it happens that the weavers, they were unable to complete the production, or they were not able to deliver the goods at a proper time. So Gomestas were very arrogant, and whenever they used to come to the villages, they used to come with the sepoys. They had a team of sepoys with them. If anybody who, they were very rude to the people, and they used to beat with the people, beat to the people, or anybody who is not who is has a conflict with them, they used to beat them, and very badly. Anybody who didn't give the production in time, who didn't complete it in time, they also were badly treated by the Gomestas. So there were very often, there was a clashes with the weavers and the Gomestas. They had a very regular, very often they used to have the clashes with the local people as well as with the weavers. When they march, they are very arrogant. Gomestas were very arrogant, and they marched into the villages with the sepoy and PMs, and they used to punish to the weavers for delay in supply. Often beating and flogging were there. Sometimes it happens that the beating and flogging is so high, and they used to beat them very badly, and people have decided, weavers have decided that from the next time they are not going to take the money from them, and they are not going to work for the East India Company, or they are not going to accept the loan that would be given to them. They can make their own production, they can sell it to anybody, but they will not take money from the Gomestas. And there were few people were there who fled away from that area because they were unable to provide, and the money they have taken, so they went away from, they have left that village and they ran away from there. There few weavers have done like this also. They went to some other villages also where their relatives are living, and they have started their business. So this was the problem that was faced by the weavers, and you can see that they have begun refusing loans, closing down their workshop. They have closed their workshop, and they started saying that no, we don't produce, we don't know the weaving, we are not knowing this art, and we are not doing it, this work. We do agriculture or something else we do, but we are not doing the weaving. So there were so many problems were faced by the people living in the country, and there are some people have there, they have started doing the agricultural laboring. They have started working as agricultural laborers. So this was the problem that was faced by the weavers. See students, this is the assignment. Go through it very nicely and complete it. This is the fourth assignment. Till then, keep learning and stay safe. Thank you.